I got a cool Christmas gift. It's called a Wow stick.
Look.
I'm already worried.
Hold on. Wait, it looks private. That's a.
You went the same place I did.
Wait.
Dan.
But wait.
Look.
Okay.
It's a weight. It's a shake weight.
I know you're right. I know we're friends and all, but yeah.
No. Hold up.
Oh, what was it? The Wow stick?
It's a Wow stick. It's a precision screwdriver. See?
Plays further into the pun.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
See?
So Dan,
cool.
your Wow stick.
See? Your little bits go in there.
Screwdriver.
But like precision screws. So look at all these.
Oh, that is
bits.
cool.
Look at all those bits. I got 4 of these because it has bits.
Well, that
for
would explain
everything.
the size of the box, because I'm like, you pulled out the screwdriver and I'm thinking that's a huge box.
It's not the size that counts, Joe.
Oh.
But it has this little screw pad, which is like a. Yeah, I know, right? I knew you were going there. That's why we had to record this. That's why we had to record this.
But I'm forbidden from putting this in the show, right?
Whatever. I don't care. Everybody's missing out on the video portion of this, really.
The Wow stick translates to
After you're done, it just makes you say, wow.
Just wow. It's the Wow stick.
Coming up on this episode of Linux User Space, XFace gets a new face, CentOS rocks your world, Mozilla Watch, we wish upon a star, and we think inside the box. Hey, and welcome to the Space of Linux Users. I'm Leo.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Joe in space.
So what's been going on with you guys this past couple of weeks?
Fun things, of course.
I saw one of those posts in the Telegram group, Joe.
No, see, look, I think what happened is I think somebody hacked my Telegram. And
that's what it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't sound like you at all.
They're the ones posting pictures of just laptops disintegrating on screen and Manjaro updates gone awry. That would never be me, because...
Yeah, well, it wasn't just your laptop, though.
It wasn't. No. Yeah. Yep, my whole KDE Manjaro installs hosed. I don't know. I got to spend some time. Of course, it happened, 40 minutes before we started this. So thankfully,
There's plenty of time.
Thankfully, I was able to get into Gnome on Manjaro still, because I have them both installed on this machine and it's all running.
Well, something worked.
Seems to run fine. I just had to give backup kernel, but not just the backup kernel. So not just 5.9, it had to do the 5.9 init, whatever, dealy bob, and then do that one. Yeah, it's frustrating. If you want to learn more, go read all the red giant letters on the Manjaro forums these days.
Oh, wait, hold on. So did they warn you of this, or was this just something that they found out after the fact?
No, I think it's just, if you read it says basically, we broke a lot of stuff. We know you're mad, but this is why we did it. So,
so it's still your fault.
It's definitely my fault.
Of course. It's always your fault. Did you not see that post?
I know.
It's always your
fault. I know how this works. I have a love-hate relationship. This is the first time Manjaro's really, really failed me that fast. Well, so it didn't just happen. So earlier today, it's just a comedy of errors, but I already told you guys, my laptop. So all of a sudden, I think my EFI partition got corrupted. I don't know how that could happen, because it's not like I install hundreds of distros throughout the year. There's no way I'm abusing that EFI partition. But for some reason, I think it got corrupted or something happened. I couldn't get into Windows on that machine. So I thought, fine, I don't have time for this. I'm going to go get in Manjaro, because I want to play around with this XFace 4.16, because, it's so drastically different now. I thought, man, I'm not even going to recognize it. So I'm like,
it's night and day.
I don't have time to install it on hardware. I'm going to throw it in Gnome boxes and get it going. And so I get into my install, and I'm like, oh, I've got some updates. Let me run these updates. And hey, you should restart. We just did these updates, and then it's borked. So the where I'm at is I was able to get into Manjaro because I have Refind. Well, Refind takes you directly to the OS, not to Grub. So, and I think I could get into Manjaro, but I need to get into the Grub menu and load the older kernel because I think it's on 5.10 whatever, and I think it's broke a bunch of junk, but I can't get to that because of the thing, and I'm going to blow the whole laptop out. I'm just going to wipe the whole thing and start over. I'm just done.
Hey, and then maybe you can keep it to a more reasonable 2 or 3 distros.
Probably not. But again, this is the kind of, there is somebody at home listening to this going, oh, that would wreck my, it's not like I'm begging for trouble all the time. I am like repeatedly doing things you're not supposed to do because I want to see if you can do it or break it. So it's like, I'm not upset about it. All my stuff's backed up. Wink. So that's fine. Unlike that one time I didn't back up Pop OS, but we won't go back to that.
I mean, how many episodes ago was that? I mean,
it was a lot. It was, you know what? It was, it was a lot. It was probably like 10. I don't know, 10 episodes ago. That's a long way.
Oh, was it really that early?
Pop OS. When did we do Pop? That was like was that our first?
Yeah. Well, that was when you installed it, but when you really broke it, it was only like a couple episodes.
Yeah, it was a couple episodes. Yeah. Okay. We're on 14. So hey, this is episode 14, so there's at least 10 episodes.
Well, that all happened in 2020, right? So we can forget about that and we can move on.
Yeah, we don't remember that
behind
year.
us.
We don't. That year's done. So so it's been
forget about that.
It's been fun.
RMRF 2020.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I do have a networking noob corner. If anybody would like to,
let's go.
It's a quick one. So Plex. We talked about Plex a lot lately. So I was running Plex. I have had a Plex server for a while, and all of a sudden, and this is really weird because my network has not changed, but all of a sudden, I'm watching Plex on the TV, and I'm like, this looks bad. Like, this is a Blu-ray. This should look, at least 1080p-ish, good quality. So I'm checking settings. I checked to make sure the server hadn't updated or something, and it hadn't. And I'm checking, and I can't figure out anything. And then I go, you know what? I bet this is like 720p. Why would it be 720p? Why is it downgrading the quality? And I saw that the remote, so if you were looking at it outside your network, it was streaming at 720p. And I go, why does it think that's outside my network? It's the living room. So I had some Wi-Fi, little Google Wi-Fi pods that I've had for a while.
Yep.
I've got my Ubiquiti set up, which handles most of my internet traffic, but it was hitting the network. The Wi-Fi was actually on par with the Wi-Fi, with the Ubiquiti and the Google Wi-Fi were on par, coming off of the same little switch.
Yep.
And before it had always treated them as one network, but all of the sudden, because the Wi-Fi was not a layer below the Ubiquiti switch, which it makes sense now that you think of it that way, it was treating as if it was going over the WAN and streaming it across the house outside. Yep. So anyways, I just had to move my Wi-Fi to the next tier down, which was fine, but it was weird because it was like that for 6 months. I don't know. Well, 6 months. When did we talk about me putting in the Ubiquiti stuff? That was a long time ago. Feels like.
Yeah,
it was definitely hot.
That was early episodes.
Yeah, it's like 30 degrees now. So it was hot then.
There is a way to fix that without having to do networking jazz. In the settings, there are 2 places that you can set things about networks. You can add in a list of networks. You got to know a little bit of network lingo, the CIDR notation. You can mark a network that is not local, but you can treat it as local. And so if you have on your LAN, you want original quality.
Yep.
It will just default to that, regardless of where it is. It could be, across the world. Doesn't matter.
So I still did have to do that. I still had to do that because it's a separate, because it's and the Google Wi-Fi is going. I will eventually have Ubiquiti spots in here, but
right.
because it is its own subnet. It has its own, for the Wi-Fi, it was still treating it as even though I put it coming off of the switch. It was still treating it as, so I did have to go in and put in my subnet mask and to keep it as a approved network.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
well, that's
Google does its own
wild.
little.
It does.
Has its own network.
Exactly.
On
it's
your
Google
network.
stuff. It would not let me do, so they won't let me do pass-through. Google will not allow you to do pass-through if you have more than one. So if you have one of their little pucks, you can do it. Because then it's just operating as like a Wi-Fi router. But if you're doing a mesh network, which I have 3 of them, it will not allow you to do, what is it? What is the pass-through? It's what you use to pull your IP address. What is that? DHCP. It won't let you do a DHCP pass-through. So it is treating it as its own separate like network. So I had to put that into, yeah. Isn't that nuts?
That's a point in their corner. Because we were talking about it before. Well, maybe we weren't talking about it. I don't know. I was talking about it to somebody about how, things like IoT things should just be on their own network. And well, sounds like if you have more than one puck, Google kind of does that for you already. Now, I won't buy them because I don't trust Google any further than I can throw them.
Right.
But that is a nice touch, and I do appreciate that is a thing. That's really cool.
That does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Very annoying if you're into networking and you want things to just work and you assume that you can just do, I'm like, I'm just going to do DHCP. And then I went in and it said it's possible. So I'm like, well, but it won't let me do it. It's grayed out. I'm like, this is really weird. Why can't I do this? And I had to look and find. But now it's working. So, and that was the only glitch I had was that service. Everything else worked pretty seamlessly. Like my IoT stuff worked fine and all that. It was just Plex, for whatever reason, didn't like it.
Yeah.
So,
well, that makes sense. If it's on a different network, then Plex will treat it that way and downgrade you.
Yeah. So, networking noob 101, even though I've been doing networking for 20 years, 20 plus years.
Yes. It happens to the best of us.
Do you really think to check your IP address and what it is because it's all on your network and you control it?
I'm underneath the same umbrella router. Like I'm thinking like it's fine, but it had isolated itself. So yeah.
Well, nice touch. Yeah. Nice touch. Good on you, Google.
You will never hear that again on this podcast.
Not from
Probably
me.
not.
Nope.
No.
But I will say about Plex, I did finally get into rebuilding my NAS. So I ended up finishing that up. I had Nextcloud running separately and then Plex running directly on my NAS. Well, that's all consolidated now. I bought a Western Digital Blue 512 gig NVMe drive to put the OS on, to have a big old fat Plex library. It lives in like varlib, Plex Media, whatever, the database.
Yep.
So that would run extremely fast. And I was on a 128 gig drive before, and I think I was almost up to 100 gigs. So there's a lot of thumbnails.
That's a big database. Yeah.
Oh, so it keeps the okay. I got you. I lost you for a second. So just the database. That's awesome.
Yep, because every little thing that you have in there, like every photo you have in there has a thumbnail, and that lives in the database, and then every movie, every audio, everything.
Yep.
So I wanted that to just continue chugging along, and I didn't want to have to think about it. So I just bought a big old NVMe drive to make it faster. And I'm on Ubuntu 20.04 now, so for the long haul.
Fancy.
That's good.
For 4-ish more years, we'll see how long that lasts. But I imagine as long as there's no hardware failure, that will just keep chugging along. And I did Nextcloud, so I was torn. I want to do Docker. I want to move things over to Docker, but I'm very, very familiar with the way that Snap and Nextcloud work together. So just to alleviate all of this data is important, I just went with Snap on Nextcloud. But it's super simple to set up. And on the drive that I'm using for Nextcloud, I did swap over to ButterFS as well.
Oh.
So lots of changes, lots of things.
Wow.
And I wanted to do this so that I could scrub it periodically and check for bit rot and all of that kind of stuff, because backing up broken bits, what good is a backup if the bits are broken in the first place, right? So
exactly.
Just for protection on that. And I've got it rsyncing to a same size drive every night. And so, worst case scenario, I lose 12 hours, whatever I added in the last few hours or something like that on that machine. But it is fantastic. But now I don't have any kind of web interface. It's all, if I need to get at it, it's command line only. So
you're a professional.
I'm living the dream now.
You're a professional.
It's all bareback. So
nice.
I really enjoy it now, though. But I am getting into Docker. I did I had mentioned that my SSD died. That was a lie.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That machine that died, it turns out the SSD's fine. I threw 100 gigs at that 200 something gig SSD, and it wrote just fine. I can retrieve all the data just fine. So I don't know what that was about, but it turns out what died was the flash drive that ESXi was living on. So separate machine. This is what I was talking about in the last episode, that died. The flash drive died. Like, not detectable in any system I plug it into. It's just dead.
Yeah.
So I replaced that, put ESXi 7, yay, back on there. So I did take the opportunity to upgrade, and then re-imported the VMs that I didn't accidentally nuke. Accidentally nuked that SSD to test it.
Whoopsie.
I was like, I mean, it's dead anyway, right? It was not dead.
No.
Whoops. So, but everything is now running again. VMs on ESXi that I'm running a bunch of Docker stuff on, which is fun to play with. Playing with Mumble Server and Git for my own little Git repository here locally, which is fantastic. And wow, man, there's a lot of stuff about Docker that they don't have in the getting started docs. You got to dig.
Boy. Yeah, there is. Yeah,
but it's fun. I really enjoy this whole Docker train that I'm getting on, and my NAS is happy again. It's not on Debian 8 that's been out of end of life for a while.
Right,
Whoops.
A while.
Debian 8.
So
you know how to pick them.
Yeah, man, it was a long one. I was on the not Debian maintaining it, but these other people that maintain it. I was on that channel. Yeah. No, I needed to be off of that. So
it's like welcome to the afterlife.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Extended life. Yeah. But everything's happy now. Everything is nice and settled, and I don't have to tinker with much anymore. It's all good.
Cool.
Very cool.
All right, topic time. Let's start at the top of this thing with XFCE. They just had themselves I'm going to call it major. I assume it's major. It caused some waves. Those icons are a little different. But 4.16, it's major.
You know what's major about it is it took 3 years less to make it than the last jump. So that's pretty major.
Absolutely. They did announce a little while ago that there was a slight delay, but it wasn't going to be the 2-year delay that they had last time, which is good. No, it's excellent. I think, having, meet your target is a good sign.
Yeah. Is this a sign of the way that it's going to come down now? Is it going to be kind of a yearly thing where around Christmas time, they're like, hey, Merry Christmas, new version of XFCE? That would be kind of cool.
It would be.
I think it would be good. And it'd be good for the project, yeah.
And I mean, if they really diligently work on it and release every year for the next 20 years, it might even get up to date with GNOME and KDE. So, it's cool.
I really do think XFCE is, it's positioned well. It's not trying to be lightweight anymore. I think they kind of lost that title or, lost the running in that title when they moved everything to GTK3. They were starting to feel a little bit of that in 4.14. But I think overall they're positioned well. I hesitate when it comes to picking a desktop environment that I want to put on something that, that I'm not going to use every day. Like if I need a graphical interface on top of a server or something like that. XFCE kind of moved up a little bit for me in the running because right now it's either Mate or LXQT, and the answer is LXQT. That's what I'm running now on a machine that I'm just running.
Solid choice.
Yay! Hey, what can I say? But to be honest, I'm running one browser, like a little tiny browser in a one quadrant. And in the other 3 quadrants, it's just command line running bpytop on stuff. So yeah, I don't need a lot of flash on that. But
right.
If I were to do it all over again, now that I know what I'm looking at, XFCE might be a pretty good choice for that. I enjoy the flash too much. I think not Flash, not Adobe Flash. That's dead, thankfully. But
bling,
bling. The bling. There you go.
Are you maintaining an Adobe Flash repo somewhere?
You know what?
Oh, jeez. I hope not.
I guarantee you, Flash will not be dead for the Tinkerer groups. Those people will keep it alive forever.
That needs to go away.
Yeah. As far as the web goes, please go away. Stay away.
Yeah.
Never come back. But there are a lot of sites that are built on Flash, and well, there's a lot to be said about keeping stuff like that around, and we should keep that stuff around. But just like we don't run DOS, we have DOSBox. Now we can have Flashbox or whatever
right.
that is. Yeah,
That would be okay. Sandbox it up.
yeah, exactly. But have it nowhere near your password store on your browser.
I'll agree with you with XFCE. I think it has a place, right? It is not GNOME. It has the GTK toolkit, so it's not nearly, it's not nearly as heavy because it's not GNOME. But it's not going for the lightweight, distro like you said. I'm sure.
I think they even say as much that it did gain a few megs on startup.
Yeah. I'm sure it did because the GTK toolkit is just a little heavier, but it doesn't have all the bling that you talk about. The animations, the thing flying off the screen at you, it doesn't have any of that. But one thing I do like is they put some serious time into the new icons they've got, and the color palette in 4.16. I think those are the standout things that you see, and they really look good. I think it's a nice look for them.
The icons, I don't care what anybody says. The icons are some of the best icons out there.
Yeah,
I will rip out whatever icons anything comes with, and I'll just throw in Papyrus. Is it Papyrus?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think Papyrus is the one.
Papyrus?
Is
Yes,
it? I don't know.
It's probably
Sure.
named after, that ancient paper. Papyrus.
Papyrus.
That one.
Maybe.
And every single time, right? Every single time, I will put those icons in there. But now, the icons that XFCE ships with they are nice. They are very
so.
nice. They are now a contender. I'm going to the next time I decide to make an icon change or something like that, this is going to be in the running too. So XFCE has kind of crawled up that ladder of things I think about when I want to put something together. It's up there. It's way up there now.
Yeah, it's familiar, so that's good, right? Joe, your favorite?
You guys know it's my favorite. I mean, XFCE is long since
of course.
been where I
go back to the Manjaro show where I was on XFCE and you'll hear me sing its praises.
Right.
They were amazing.
Right. No, XFCE it just burns the eyes out of my skull. But hold on. But I'm going to say that I really do like the icons. As I was looking, there's the way they have the settings.
Yeah.
So I tell you the way I was thinking about this. Like how could I use, like what would make me, how could I appreciate this more? Because obviously they're putting work into it. And just because it's not my style doesn't make it bad. It just means it's not my thing. But as I loaded this one up, and I have been kind of tweaking with it, I do like the icons. I do like, I'm a dock at the bottom kind of guy. Like Gnome, the first thing I do if I'm on Gnome is I put a dashed dock in the bottom, which I know that's supposedly going to be there by default, I think, coming soon in the next release for Gnome, but potentially. But I always,
that'd be nice.
So I installed XFCE. I'm like, oh, there's a dock down there. Okay, it's way too small, but maybe I can tweak it. The icons are better looking. I think they stole an icon from Apple. I don't know. The one at
which
the top
one?
of the
Hold on.
So go to look at the settings manager. What's that icon at the top left? Tell me those aren't some Apple toggles.
The toggles?
Those are some Apple toggles.
Close, maybe, but a little different. A little different.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, there's definitely inspiration there that we may be able to draw parallels to.
Right. And I'll tell you what, the thing that's always killed me about XFCE is it felt bland. So not so much even animations and stuff, just the colors just felt like drab.
This fixes that.
Yeah, this has a little bit of pop to it. Like the colors pop. I like the icons they've chosen. The default applications, that little quadrant. Anyways, I think it looks really nice. I need to find a dark setting. I don't know if there's a dark.
There is a dark.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, you got Graybird Dark.
Oh, Graybird Dark. Not
so
in here by default.
Now that sounds like some high praise to me, Leo.
I mean, coming from someone that does not like XFCE, I think so too. Now, I'm in that same boat where, it was just, it would never even be wouldn't even come on my radar. It just wouldn't. But now, they've made some nice stylistic choices that I really, really agree with. I enjoy what it looks like way more now than ever in the past.
Arc Dark.
Yeah.
It looks good with Arc Dark.
Arc Dark.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good too.
That's what Manjaro gives you as well, isn't it? I think so. And then modified Arc Dark, something like that. But yeah, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. I like it.
Joe, another thing for you is the fractional scaling.
Yes.
So you'll be able to run that on that crazy laptop that you got.
12K.
Yes, the 12K 15-inch monitor. Yeah. So, well, we'll talk a little bit about that later because we're going to do some things that we want to see. But yes, I am always happy to see fractional scaling. I would, if I could donate a 4K screen to at least one to every developing group, that would, please, people, please get one.
Sure.
Let's all donate one. Let's help them all.
Okay. Let's do it.
Well, I don't have any to donate because I don't buy 4K because I don't want to have to deal with fractional scaling.
But that's just avoiding
It's also the smart
issue.
move.
That's not.
It is, and I'm going to stay on 1080p and 1440p forever.
Yeah. Well, 1440 is definitely my sweet spot. My 3 monitors here are now all 1440s. I took my 4K, moved it somewhere else. But my laptop, I mean, the XPS, that's just what it comes with. And it's a beautiful display. And it doesn't come with a magnifying glass. So
it's really small. So trying to get that 4K in that,
Do you remember on the Game Boy when you used to buy a snake light for it because it didn't have any internal lights or anything like that, and you bought a magnifying glass to put on it. Yeah. So maybe you just need to get one of those for your laptop.
That'll look great.
Stop mussing with this fractional
I'll basically
scaling
have some Urkel glasses sitting over my laptop. That'd be awesome.
I mean, seriously. Yes. And it works pretty well as a privacy screen because if you look at that at an angle, it just doesn't come out right.
Yeah. Maybe I could stop wearing glasses. That'd be great.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. 2 birds. I'm going to look into that. Somebody start a GoFundMe.
All right.
Coke bottle XPS 15 glass cover.
One thing that I think was a long time coming was Thunar now has a pause button when you're moving big old huge files.
Yeah, that is nice.
If things start to slow down, you can press that pause button and let everything catch up, and then let it go again. I think it's funny in the tour that they've got. They are obviously in XFCE and they are transferring an XFCE ISO, so XFCception going on there. Oh, it's a Xubuntu. Is it Xubuntu?
Xubuntu.
Okay, yeah. So they're transferring Xubuntu. So a little Xubuntuception.
Does the super key not do anything in XFCE?
It does. So it is not bound to the menu though.
Oh,
and I know
that is jarring. Because I think that's pretty universal at this point.
It is.
I know.
I've been sitting here pushing it because I'm going to tell you the way I could survive XFCE. To be honest, the thing that kills me is the menus upon menus upon menus. Like I just don't really care for that. So everything else would be fine if I could hit super key and just type what I want to do, like I do in Gnome or KDE. That's fine. Then I don't ever have to look at that abomination of a menu. But
go for Super W. Because whisker menu, Super W.
Yeah, it didn't do anything either.
It didn't? No, it should.
Not on this one.
You're in Gnome boxes, though. So
I am in boxes, so maybe it's not...
maybe that's not getting passed through.
Yeah, it's doing some trickery there.
I believe Super W opens up the whisker menu.
Okay.
I believe.
It would be nice.
Wrong. But having Super bound to the menu means whenever you have Super plus something else, it captures the menu every time. So I understand the frustration because we have a similar issue where OpenBox, if you allow that to have a Super plus something in OpenBox, it seizes it right up and you can't use it for something else.
Yeah.
So you need there's some frustration there. I get it.
Yep. Yeah. And it looks like I think they may have fixed the issue that I had. Speaking of that Manjaro episode that we did a while back, one of the things that I could not do was close the laptop lid and just let the display that I had connected to it just work. Otherwise, that display would just turn off.
Right.
Well, and I was going through all the little, back road settings that you could get to try and make that work, and I could not get it to work. But now it looks like in their XFCE4 Power Manager applet, it looks like that's an option now. Laptop lid, do nothing. Yes. That's all
That's
I
good.
want. Don't suspend. No, I literally told you don't do that. So yeah, that is that was the biggest sore spot for me because of the way that I use my laptop a lot of times. I don't need two screens. I just need a big screen, and that was a big sore spot for me. So it looks like that's cleaned up. I like that.
Yeah, I think all in all, welcome improvements.
Okay.
Yes. And that's another reason why it's just such a contender now. If I need something a little on the less flashy side.
I found the commands. It's not super, there's no super. Because it's working. Because I did super P.
Oh.
I've been trying out the supers. You can do the XF desktop menu, which is Control Escape, which makes all the sense in the world to hit Control Escape if I want to bring up a menu.
Right.
Maybe this is because you're running it on Endeavor.
Could be. Maybe they have
That's
some
true.
custom. They
may have some custom.
So yeah, to be
keybinds.
fair, we wanted to go try out 4.16. There's very few places that you can go get it as of yet, and Endeavor is one of them. We even tried who was it? Dan? Who did you say? OpenSUSE didn't even
I
have
tried
it yet.
OpenSUSE.
Yeah.
I think I could have done Ubuntu Daily. The Hirsute that has not yet been released. I do believe it's there. I haven't checked. But yeah, it's very new, so it's hard to find.
Yeah, I spun up Endeavor OS as well for the same reason, and yeah, looks good. I like it.
Alt F3.
Perfect.
But on my
Not even
keyboard
Alt-
has a function key, so it's Alt Function F3,
It's not even F2.
and that'll
because that
open
would
up
be
the
like
application finder.
Alt
Okay.
And then you have your applications right there, and then you can type.
Sure.
Alt
Okay.
F3.
I'm sure you can change those.
I'm sure.
To your
I'm
desire.
sure someone is screaming at their car radio right now. You dummies! You can change it. Don't you know you can? It's XFC. You can make it whatever. Yes, I know. I'm just out of the box.
And we heavily theme it, by the way.
Yes.
Right. That I hear that a lot. with
Right.
XFCE.
There are a lot of custom
It's
themes
heavily
out there.
themed. We don't use Graybird.
It does.
And
yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
it's fine. I just Alt F3 is just not my.
I'm a super kind of guy. Just smack the super key.
You're a super guy, Lee.
Super R. There it is.
It's not even Valentine's yet. I feel like that would be written on a card. You're
That
a
sounds like a
super guy
Valentine's
with a little
card.
heart on it.
Super R is it, guys. It's Super R.
Super R.
All
super
right,
run.
super R.
Brings up a small application finder, which
It
is
brings
just
up
a search.
the menu.
Yes.
The runner.
Makes sense.
Runner. Brings
Oh,
up a runner.
Okay,
Yeah, Super
that makes
R.
sense.
Okay, I could live with Super
That makes
R.
way more sense
Yes.
than menu.
Yes.
Yeah. it
Yes.
does.
Where did you get Super W? Oh, Whisker. You were thinking Whisker.
Whisker.
Maybe you don't have the Whisker menu installed, so maybe that's why Super W doesn't work.
Maybe I should
Ah,
put that
also
in there.
true.
It was on. It was. I spotted it on the tour page.
Oh,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. Super R.
All right.
Cool.
Final thoughts on XFCE. What do you guys think? Keeper?
Yeah, I'm glad they made some improvements. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. As I'm going to say this
I'm not
is
going to be running it. Don't get me wrong.
I'm going to say this as unfacetiously as possible. I think they are making some nice progress. I know there are a lot of people in the Linux community that love this desktop environment, and
Love.
I hope they like these changes. I have a feeling this is going to be a struggle because I think the thing they did like about it the most is that it's pretty consistent and doesn't change a lot. So these are minor tweaks. This shouldn't hurt anybody's feelings, I don't think. This isn't like Gnome 2 to Gnome 3.
No.
This
No,
is
no.
very, very minor little tweaks, and they look nice. You can put a little makeup on the pig. It's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they continue. I hope they continue and iteratively make some nice changes.
Yeah.
Well on you guys.
Yeah. Still not for me, but I think that's mostly because I grew up with GNOME 2. I mean, my early Linux days were GNOME 2, so that's why I opt for Mate a lot. And LXQT, because I'm kind of getting into Plasma, just staying on the Qt stack is
Plasma's the jam.
Oh, Plasma's so good.
Plasma's so good.
I can't stop Plasma-ing,
It's
guys.
hard.
I can't.
It's hard.
So next up, CentOS gets dropped.
CentOS got dropped like a bad
It
habit.
just
It got
dropped
dropped.
right over
It
the
got,
edge.
yeah. Oh,
Gone.
So not CentOS Stream. That's still doing its thing, But yeah, CentOS Linux is no more.
Yeah, it got dropped like Bitcoin in 2017, buddy.
Ooh, wait. So what you're telling me is CentOS is going to rise again?
Well, I don't know. I'm at 37,374 on Bitcoin today, guys. Look at that. It's just skyrocketing.
I think it is going to rise again, but it might not be called CentOS.
That's exactly it.
CentOS by another name.
Yeah. So the backstory of this is just with CentOS, it tracks RHEL. That's how that works, right? So RHEL 8 comes out, give it a little while for the CentOS folks to put all those packages together and put a distribution together and give that to you, and that would be called CentOS 8. And it typically, I mean, for all of CentOS's existence that I know of, I mean, at least since 5, you've had this situation where it tracked the end of life of RHEL as well.
Correct.
Well, CentOS 8 didn't do that.
Well, they started that way,
Right.
maybe, but it didn't. They pulled the rug out, so the announcement was not so great.
They had a Manjaro moment.
We're talking 10 years here. Like, this is not, it's going to be supported for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. No. 10 years is the type of support that we're talking about here. And what did we end up with?
Like 2?
2.
Is it running through the end of
2
this year or
years.
next year?
Next
The
year,
end of
I
this
think.
year, December
Oh,
2021, I believe.
Right.
Yes.
We're in 2021,
We're here,
y'all.
yeah, no,
That's
we
right.
are.
Okay,
We
this
have
year.
arrived.
Yeah. So everybody that just finished their deployments, November. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, you ready to move again? No.
But is it that bad? So the way it was tracking before was like you had Fedora, you wait some years, and then you've got CentOS Stream, and then a little short while later, that ends up in RHEL, and then a little short while later, that ends up in CentOS.
Right, as fast as they can package it together, that's when
Right.
it ends up in
So,
CentOS. Yeah,
a few
and
weeks,
that varied. That time
give or take.
varied actually,
Yeah.
depending on
A
their
little
own
bit.
schedules and how much
Sure,
how much time they
sure.
could put into it.
It's only a couple people working on it full time.
Right.
So it took some time. Understood.
Mhm.
So is it that bad if you had to go from trailing RHEL to leading into RHEL? I mean, I guess it depends on your use case. I think
Right.
it's still very stable. I don't think it's something that you'll find is like cowboyish at all. I think
Yeah, it ain't Fedora. Not even close.
Yeah.
what?
It's not Rawhide or anything.
No.
It's not Arch. It's not any of that, right? It's still very, I'll say very tested before it gets rolled out, to the mass.
Do you know what the qualifier is for it making it into CentOS Stream from Fedora? Like, what is the...
Oh, a lot of time.
Is it just
First
time?
off.
Is it...
No, not everything tracks either.
Right.
I gotcha.
Not everything from Fedora comes into RHEL. So, like, Fedora's on ButterFS. I mean, the group in RHEL can just say, no, we don't want that. We're
Right.
just going to stick
Right.
with XFS forever. I mean, they have. And, they can decide whether or not it's going to hit CentOS and then later RHEL. But, yeah, I mean, CentOS Stream. So, if we're on RHEL, what are we on? 8.3? Something like that?
We are now, I think, yes.
Yeah. So, CentOS Stream is now positioned at 8.4. So they are just, as the packages comes in, as they're tested, and this is where they get, this is where they become bulletproof in
Right.
CentOS Stream. Not that they are not bulletproof going in there, just that we're 99% sure they're enterprise ready. And then the leap to RHEL, you like that?
Yeah.
To RHEL is just a little ways away.
Yep. And then by the time it gets to RHEL, it's obviously very smooth.
Right.
They hate to roll anything out to paying customers that don't work right. I mean,
Right.
so
But you said the operative word. You said paying customers.
correct.
And there are two prongs to this that I want to talk about. And I mean, one of them
Okay.
is paying customers, right? That I think is why CentOS Stream or CentOS Linux is no longer with us. But
Right.
this is where it prongs out for me. The first thing I think is that now that you don't have CentOS Linux, you don't have that influx of folks anymore. But I heard promises that RHEL's going to give you more than the one development license that they give you, right? Because they give you one. You can sign up for the RHEL developer, whatever, and go get one copy of RHEL to test on and do all that stuff with. It was for developers, not for enterprises to test on, really.
Right.
But whispers of you're supposed to get more. And that would fill that gap. That would maybe, depending on how many you get, I guess. So there's that. I know there's an accounting push to try and convert more.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make money. You
It
can't
is a
fault
business.
them for that.
No.
That's what they're trying to do.
They have paid developers working on that full time, and they're not getting the return on investment. So it's hard to blame them. They do run a business.
Yeah, I think this was inevitable. When they acquired CentOS, I always had it in the back of my mind that this was kind of inevitable.
Yeah. Oh, when they announced Stream, I was thinking that, boy, that
what is
CentOS
this about?
days are really numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, too, it would seem, so you might say, well, Fedora is free, but just from a business standpoint, they gain something by Fedora being free and out in the wild as well.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Right? Because
Oh, yeah.
all of that is flowing downstream to CentOS Stream eventually, and then to RHEL. So a lot of the stuff gets fleshed out. So there is benefit to having the community engagement you have. Well, when we did our Fedora episode, the reason they started with Fedora was to get that community developing behind it. So
Yes.
So there is no, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't get anything back from CentOS because it's at the tail end of the line.
It's after.
So to make the distinction, they don't get anything back from CentOS Linux.
Yes,
they
CentOS
will
Linux.
get something back from CentOS Stream.
Right, because
Correct.
it's again upstream from RHEL.
Right. And
so
they
it
get
makes
that.
sense that they want to push everybody there. Okay, fine. Hey, you want to stay on the CentOS? Great. But we need you over here, buddy, because we got to get something out of this. Again, to Dan's point, we're paying developers, and this is a business. We're trying to be a business. So I can understand that, but I also understand being in the Linux community, trusting and consistency and solidified use case of, okay, I'm my curmudgeon administrator. I don't like change. And now, as gingerly as you put CentOS Stream, it's still a stream, and I don't want to stream. So I can kind of, I get why they might be frustrated, but I fully understand why RHEL would go this direction.
Yeah, this was inevitable. I'm not mad at them for this. It was a pure business decision, and I can't fault them for that. What the other prong of what's going on here is that there was, and they didn't have to make good on it. I get that, and they obviously did not. Was that CentOS 8 was supposed to track as long as RHEL 8 did?
Yep,
and that was 10 years. And we are going to fall 8 years short of that.
So they just missed it. Just missed it.
Oh, it's right there.
Yep, almost. And I think that is really where, if you're mad at Red Hat for this move, you were one of those people that were counting on the 10 years and you did not get it, not by a long shot.
Right.
A lot of the shops that I've ever seen that have run RHEL ran CentOS alongside it when they didn't want to pay for the support on that particular machine. If it blew up, they had backups. It wasn't a big deal. They didn't need help with it. None of that stuff, made it to the value sheet or whatever to make some payments on things. So it was CentOS, but it was good enough. It was almost as up to date as RHEL was, and people tested on that. That was really what that was about. And now that option, at least from RHEL, is gone.
Boy, I don't know. I'll argue a little bit, and I'll say Stream is probably close enough.
Yeah.
That if you're doing one of those things where it blows up and who cares, whatever, Stream is probably the right solution. Honestly, you're going to get it a little ahead of RHEL. but it's going to see some testing. It's not like it's untested completely.
Yeah.
And I think it's packaged together well enough that it's still pretty stable. Yeah, we try to spin it as super cutting edge. No, it's still running like a 4.19 kernel or something
It's
like
basically
that, right?
RHEL plus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little before it makes it to RHEL. And so I don't think it's all the end of the world,
Yeah.
personally.
I think the real losers in this whole thing, and I don't know how many there are, I'm sure they exist, are people that ran full CentOS shops that just refuse to buy support from RHEL at all.
And that feels a little wrong too, right?
Well, if you don't need it, I mean, if you're comfortable and you don't need it.
Let me put it to you this way: Oracle Linux will let you do that, and they still let you do that, and now that is one of their selling points.
Yeah,
right.
And they're in it for the money, just the same. I mean, honestly, there's way more mud to sling at Oracle than there is at Red Hat. But
that's the Unbreakable Linux, right?
They offer
Unbreakable.
The Unbreakable kernel, Unbreakable, maybe not.
Well, so does this just push people to Ubuntu?
Now, this is an interesting question.
So there may be some. Yeah. I don't know how much of an uptick there will be there, but Ubuntu's pretty different. So
yeah,
it's not quite.
It is.
You can't just transition from one to the other.
No, sure.
All that SE Linux knowledge, poof.
Yeah. And to the point, like if you just so when did CentOS 8 come out? Was it
about a year ago?
Okay.
Yeah, it was a year ago, I think. It was December.
And we all know how that works.
We're
all work in IT, so we know how server upgrades go. And
Mm-hmm.
it may
that
take
didn't happen the first month.
You're not doing it right away. Nobody's eager to do it. Nobody's like, oh, CentOS is out. That. That's not the thing. Maybe it's been 6-9 months, and now how much money did you just spend?
Yep.
Labor-wise, let's say you had, I don't know, a school district or something, right? That's multiple servers, and you did the upgrade and you did all these cutovers and all these man hours just to find out it's going to last you a year.
Does that hurt.
A year?
Wowie.
That could hurt. That could be.
I know what that feels like, because you only have so many opportunities in like an education environment, right?
Oh, fall break, man. They were upgrading over the breaks, right?
You've got breaks, and that's the only time you can get in there and get it done. So you got summer break, you got fall break, and you got winter break, and then hopefully another one in the spring, and that's it. That's all you've got for opportunities to get all these upgrades done.
Yeah, you're not doing this over the weekend.
No. So that's rough.
Yeah. So where do refugees go? So if you loved CentOS, you have CentOS, you're going to run out the clock on this and try to move to something that is as close to CentOS as you can possibly get. What are their options?
Well, Bullwinkle, I think there's this other one out there.
Yeah. It might be a little rocky road sort of thing.
It might be a rocky road. I don't know. It's not a thing fully just yet.
Yeah. Hey, Rocky, let me see your Linux.
Yeah. Rocky Linux, yeah.
It has not materialized yet.
Not yet, but it looks like. I mean, they've got what is it? They've got the like 501(c), whatever
it's
that
going.
is, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they've got that thing going for them.
Mm-hmm.
That nonprofit. That's it. They've got nonprofit status going. They've got some legs on this. This is going to come to fruition. This will happen. So, we're not talking about it, Rocky might come out. No, it really will. It really absolutely will. They put a lot of work into it up to this point. And it seems like if you want that direct descendant, Rocky might be the one that you want. And not only that, one of the original creators of CentOS.
Gregory Kurtzer, who was the original one of the founders of CentOS, is heading up this go-around. He I don't know, left the CentOS project a while ago, right?
Yeah.
But he feels like this is a worthwhile venture, so he's
he did it once.
He's going to do it again, right?
Yep.
So
he helped author a project that eventually got gobbled up by Red Hat themselves. So, there's something there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people ended up going to CentOS because of the C in the name, because that C used to stand for community.
Yep, it's the
And that's
community enterprise Linux.
Yeah, and that's what Rocky Linux is shaping up to be again. So if you want the one-to-one, Rocky's probably your go-to.
So they are targeting Q2 2021. So,
yeah,
maybe they can get it done before. Again, I still have the feeling that a lot of these CentOS machines are in education where they, like you said, they have one RHEL server at the district office, and then they're like, you know what? We're going to run CentOS everywhere else.
Enough.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get it in by summer break, Q2.
That would be good.
That would be a June-ish. They could be done, and maybe have something shippable by the fall, and maybe someone can escape end of life CentOS 8.
But what I think is the really interesting thing about this is that because they are so close, because they are binary compatible, everything is compatible, you don't need to reinstall.
Right.
You don't need to tear the system down and bring it back up.
Switch your repos and away you go.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And that is another on the list. Whether you like them or not, Oracle Linux provide that. If you are on CentOS 8 right now, Oracle Linux will give you a script. I mean, you can go grab it right now.
I
don't
bet
have to
they
give
will.
it to you, right? And run that on your server. The repos change, a few different things change, branding changes, and all of a sudden, you're running on Oracle Linux with the option to take the unbreakable kernel. Whether or not it breaks, to be seen. But yet, I mean, you can run on the RHEL compatible kernel, which is quite literally just straight from the RHEL repos rebuilt. So, I mean, you don't have to run the unbreakable thing, but it does exist for you if you need the newer support.
And you used to have that with Scientific Linux,
right,
way back, but that's project since closed up too. So you're not going to go there. So Red Hat did say that another option, like I keep pitching this, is they do have a script to convert your CentOS into CentOS Stream.
Yeah.
And so that's also an option, I suppose.
I mean, if you want to stay close to RHEL, I mean, CentOS Stream is where you're going to be. That's how it works now.
I think Joe nailed it. You're going to be looking for the easiest route, or an easy route. And so running one of these things to convert into the different repos, and get yourself on one of these other tracks without having to reinstall.
Yeah.
That's going to be what you're going to choose, probably.
Yeah. That's where the Ubuntu path looks a little rocky.
That's tougher. That's for sure.
Yeah, because there's a lot of retooling that you're going to have to do.
Versions change. There's a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And not, personally, I don't think that's a bad solution.
No, I mean, it may be a good solution for you, right?
If that works for you, but that's not for everybody.
Right. You're talking about a fresh setup for the most part, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the greenfield approach is not always bad sometimes.
True. I'll be trying that with my laptop later tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good luck. And don't forget about Project Linux from the Clear Linux. Is that who's doing this?
Yeah,
Intel?
I think so. Clear Linux.
No, maybe not. What is their name?
What is it?
Intel's Clear Linux.
Cloud Linux. Cloud Linux OS. Yeah. So Cloud Linux OS is doing CentOS. They are a company that sells Linux stuff, so it sounds like they're going to be RHEL 2.0, where, I mean, they have the stuff that they're selling you, but they're going to give you this thing fully for free, that a CentOS clone, basically. And then I would imagine eventually try to upsell you kind of the way that CentOS used to be to RHEL.
They have some other products, too. So they have kernel care, they call it. And so that's like live patch, if you will.
Right.
Only outside of the Ubuntu, realm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, live patching your kernel so you don't have to reboot as much.
No reboot.
You still have to reboot a little, but not as much.
Well, the Uptime folks will really get a kick out of something like that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're running some sort of hosting thing, though, that would be really important.
Exactly. All right. Good or bad, CentOS?
I think it could have been handled better, but it's inevitable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. We could have done something better than just dropping folks. But I mean, hey, you got a year, I guess. But still, it doesn't look good when the developer RHEL licenses aren't readily available.
Mm-mm. I am inevitable. You are watching Mozilla Watch 2021. We're going to go high up on Pikes Peak where Leo's playing with his WoW stick, and he's going to tell us about the latest news. Leo, to you.
Oh, let me tell you. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
The visuals are amazing up here.
Oh, can you see it? Can you see it down there, Leo?
Oh, yeah. Way down there, we're watching Mozilla. Checking it out because we had to. There's some new things coming out. Something's happening in Mozilla land, in Firefox land, and it's called Proton or Photon.
Well, it's
Proton to
originally called
Photon?
Proton, and now it's going to be Photon. So Proton was like 2017, circa 2017.
Oh.
And now they've kind of revitalized it the way I take it, and it's going to be called Photon.
I see. So I wonder if they renamed it from Proton because Steam owns that now. Not as in a trademark way, though they probably do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Just kind of differentiate
Makes
a little
sense.
bit, but
Makes sense.
Photon, Proton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it was for the Wow Factor.
That's one good decision they've made in the last 5 years.
What's that?
Yeah. No, wait. This really is something to be wowed about because this is what I think they've needed to focus on for a while.
Facelift?
So this is
It's not just you. It's everybody, right? Everybody out there is like, well, Mozilla's doing this and Mozilla's doing that and Mozilla's doing this, but they're not focusing on Firefox. Well, here you go.
Yes. This is a focus on the browser, the thing that got them there. And so it's a visual refresh on the browser.
Yeah, new color palette. Move over, XFCE.
Oh. If it's
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there. It better be a little more drastic than XFCE's move here.
It actually kind of does. It's got a different feel to it. The icons are not totally different, but they have this. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a comparison, and I don't know if it's gonna be apt or not. Microsoft Edge.
So that's what I thought when I saw it.
When you look at the icons,
As the feel.
I'm not sure about the color palette, though.
not
It's
the color
more
palette,
of a,
but like if you look at the back button, the refresh button, you hit the menu, and you just look at the way that those icons are stylized. That's the vibe that I get when I see these new icons.
Yeah,
it's
it's
Firefox's icons. It's that same library with the leaning book thing going on. So it's not like they just copied and pasted it, but it does give me that vibe because if you go to Chrome. If you go, I guess you could just say all the Chromium variants, just about, except Edge. They have this very bolded look on the buttons that you press here and there. But Edge was one of the first ones to go super thin lines with that.
Hey,
and now
look
it looks
at
like
that.
Firefox
look at
is
that.
following
Look at those
suit.
toggles. Look at those toggles. Doesn't that remind you of something we just saw today?
I told you move over, XFCE.
yeah,
The same
they're
toggles.
famous.
Yep.
Well, those are catching on. They're catchy.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
They're good looking. It's modern. I like it. I think it's gonna. I hope. Well, again, this is a little speculation, right? I mean, a lot could happen between now and then.
This is not anywhere close to release.
Right.
No.
It could change very drastically.
Yeah, and
before it gets
these
there.
icons that we're talking about might be totally different by the time you hear this.
Right. Yeah.
But just
it's nice looking. I hope this is the direction they're going.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. I'd like to see. They're publicizing it a little bit, or at least somebody leaked it somewhere, somehow. And it's getting some publicity, and that's nice to see. I think, that's where we need to go.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's got almost of a Vivaldi feel to it.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know. Like, it will integrate into your system, but it will have a different look and feel, kind of the way that Vivaldi does its stuff, right? Like, if you're running Vivaldi on Linux, it's not GTK. I mean, it's not. It does not have that look and feel that most things that are built off GTK kind of have. It's kind of going its own direction, and that's really the way that Firefox is doing this. So, I'm really excited to track this.
It is nice to have some positive news coming out of Mozilla. Like, and we say news with a grain of salt. Again, this is potential development. Yeah,
super alpha.
But it is nice to see some positive things coming out of Mozilla because everything else seems to be doing with financials and and everything else these days. Now, let me ask you. So you guys, or I know Leo, you are a fan of Firefox, or user of Firefox. I use Firefox, but it's usually by accident. If it's it's the default here.
It's what's there.
My Manjaro Gnome, and I don't hate it. It's just I'm using it. It's fine. But is that the problem with Mozilla? Like, is
the
it
company? The company is not the problem with the company.
So I mean, like this. Yeah, this is good. Is that what's
some
going to
good
help
press
them?
will help. Though.
Some good press will help them. Is that what you were thinking? Because I'm thinking is a refresh like have people turned away from Firefox because they don't like how it looks? I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
I don't know, but it can't hurt, right? Little eye candy, little bling.
It can't hurt.
It draws some attention and gets a little newsworthy because you can see it, and so I think all of those things are going to help.
I really feel like people don't use Firefox for the politics of it. I don't think they look at Mitchell Baker's salary and are like, well, I'm not going to use that browser. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a browser to use.
Right.
What are you going to do? Use Microsoft's browser? No, that guy gets paid a lot. What are you going to do? Use Google's browser? No, that guy gets paid a lot too. So it's not the politics of it. But I am curious what pushes people away from Firefox. And it's not because the CEO gets paid too much.
Right. Well, and that's it. Is it more functional issues? Like, is there performance benefits to using a Chromium based? I'm just asking, like,
I'll give you the opposite of that. There is a performance difference on my laptop that I use to record, the one that I'm on right now. If I look at all the links and the show notes and everything else in Firefox, my laptop is whisper quiet. The fan doesn't kick on. But if I bring up a Vivaldi or a Brave or a Chrome or a Chromium or a whatever.
What about IE? IE runs pretty slim.
Oh, IE. If I bring up Edge, that's another one where the fans will kick up. It uses more. Well, you know what? I don't even know that it uses more CPU cycles or anything like that.
It might be
but
GPU.
It heats up
right?
the CPU more, and my fans kick on, and that gets caught in a recording, and I can't have that. So Firefox is fantastic for keeping things cool. So on a performance side, there's a huge benefit there.
Yeah. So okay. So there's a tick box for Firefox, right? So efficient. So it actually maybe runs a little lighter, right? It runs better on that perspective. So why aren't people using it? Like, especially in the Linux world, because right, I think if I throw a poll in our chat and everybody was honest and really chose the browser, they instead of just I use Firefox, like, no, you don't. Shut up. We saw your screenshot with your Chromium. But that's not the case. Like, why are people choosing a heavier, Google-based browser?
They have an Android phone. They use YouTube. They go to Google every second. And every time you go to any Google property at all, what is the thing that you see up in the corner if you're not on Chrome?
Sign in, man.
Yeah, well, not only that, but it literally, there's a little pop-up that's like, hey, do you want the fastest browser on the web?
Right.
Even though that's a total lie.
Right.
It's like, go get Chromium or
go
get
it used
Chrome.
To be true. You remember that? I remember how excited I was when I installed Chrome.
Yep.
Way back when.
It was fast.
Because Internet Explorer was a tank and just horrendous.
And Firefox, before they went to where they're at now, they were the same way. They were super
clunky.
Slow and heavy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Quantum fixed that. That was just recent.
Chrome has turned into an operating system running on your operating system, basically.
Sure.
That was the point of it. And that is the point of it.
They don't want you to leave.
Yeah, I don't think Firefox is trying to be that.
Right.
And I mean, that's in my opinion, that's a checkbox for Firefox too. I don't need it to be
I agree.
an entire operating system.
Is it just convenience then? Because like you said.
Probably.
But
right? Because it is super convenient. Like you said, you got your little icon up in the corner because you're signed into your Google properties.
Right.
Every Google thing that you go to on your Chrome, you're signed in. You're set to go. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to take the time. You want to click on that Google Doc link? It clicks on it, it opens it up, and puts it in your drive. You're all set.
Yeah. I think we're just being too nerdy about it. People don't give it as much thought as we're saying they do. It's just what browser do I know? Chrome. Go.
So I'm in Firefox, and I am in. I said I use it by accident, but I actually am logged into all my Google stuff on Firefox.
Sure.
And I mean, it feels the same. Like I can click and go to photo. Like I can get back and forth, and I'm staying in Firefox, and everything's fine.
And it's not on fire. It's not molten. It's not horrible.
No.
It's a browser.
I'm just wondering, like, why they have just been as far as market share, but they don't have a phone. That's it.
Well, actually, yeah.
They don't have a phone.
That's part of it.
That might have a part of it, for sure.
That's part of it. Because if you look at the situation when Firefox, or back then it was kind of Phoenix and Netscape and, that whole time, we didn't have phones. We didn't have...
Right.
We hardly had Google Mail during some of that. But there wasn't an ecosystem to Google. But there is now. And I think that's the defining factor. I think that's why we see Mozilla kind of, chipping away at their market share, or Google is chipping away at Mozilla's market share because of that. Because Google's the name you know. Firefox is the name that nerdy guy down the street told you about. I mean, that especially if you're on Windows. But on Linux, it's given to you. So you have to actually go out of your way to get Chrome. And folks do that more often than they don't.
Well, they are. And I would say people that are running Linux tend to be more in the know about things,
and they still get Chrome,
and they're still getting Chrome. So,
but
Chromium.
It's a comfort level, though, right? Because let's face it, most of the Linux users, they were Windows users or Mac OS users before they became Linux users,
and that's why there's so much friction coming over to Linux.
Start there,
right?
So they're going back to the roots that they know. They're going to the browser that they used over on Windows and over on Mac OS. That's exactly why they're doing it.
I want to adjust the laser a little bit to you that's listening. Did we get it right? I mean, are you in one of the groups that we have described, or are you somebody totally different and you've been shaking your head this entire time and it's like, that's not me at all? Let me tell you why. Because we've got open ears here. I want to know why you chose Chrome or a Chromium variant over Firefox. Is it the tabs on the left? Is that really a killer feature? Or, is it something else? I don't know.
Right.
I'd like to know.
It blows my mind. I mean, because again, it doesn't seem like we're excited maybe that they will have some little reformatting and things will look good. And maybe they'll add more tools that make the browser feel a little better. I'm not sure. But it really seems like people who know would choose Firefox over Chrome. At the very least, Google Chrome and maybe Chromium, because it runs more efficient. And especially like if you're on we do hear a lot about how, Linux is great because I've my laptop's a little older or something like that. So there are a lot of people in the community that is the case. There's a lot that are more on my spectrum where I like newer hardware and stuff, but there's a lot that aren't. You would think they would just boom, Firefox, because it's going to run a little more efficiently and I'm going to save power and I'm going to all these other things. Yeah, please tell us. I've always been curious. Like I just would love to know. Is this facelift going to do it? Are you going to be like, "Ooh, look, they have a mauve color palette. Ooh, is that cornflower blue? Oh, look. I can now make my browser cornflower blue. I'm back on Firefox, guys."
That's Maseca Azul.
Yeah,
right.
The
Solarized
blue corn tortillas,
something
man.
like that. I'm not sure. Yeah,
there's some nice looking colors in there. Like
Look, go to the show notes. Click on this link. It's the one from from Debug Point. They've got some pictures on it. Go check that out.
Go check it out.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
All right. Before we wrap this section up, we had a couple of wishes. Some things that we wanted to see happen in 2021. Some things. This is not a prediction at all.
No predictions.
No
here.
predictions.
This is. I want to see this in 2021. I want to see it happen. So, Dan, what do you want to see happen?
So, on my wish list, I'm really pleased with where the Pine 64 project and all of the things that they're cranking out. Where they're at. They're super successful, and they recently talked about their future, and they've got some upcoming plans. Like they're planning a new chip set to go in the new devices that they're working on. And I think that's pretty exciting. They talked about a 6-month time frame for 6 to 12 month time frame, and I'm hoping it's going to be closer to the 6-month time frame because I'm super excited to see that. So that's where I'm at. I hope they can roll it out just as fast as they possibly can. I think they've done an excellent job with the manufacturing of the products that they've already got. I mean, they've delivered on everything so far, I think. So super excited there. That's my wish.
So mine's kind of in the same vein, because it could be a Pine thing. I don't know what one of the two things that I wish for is I want to see. It can either be Pine or it can be Raspberry Pi or it could be some third player that I don't know about. I want to see what a $200 or $300 Raspberry Pi would do. Like, give me extra cores. Give me, 8 gigs of RAM is probably fine. 816, somewhere in that vicinity. But, don't give me 4 cores. Give me 16 or 24 or 32 cores. And I want to see if I can move everything that I run here at home over to an ARM stack. That's 50% of my 2021 wishes. Give me beef in that ARM.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get behind that one. All right, one of mine is something we mentioned earlier today. I have long suffered with my 4K laptop screen. And to the credit, scaling, DPI scaling has become a thing in the desktop, and it's great. But boy, is it not there when you go to install distributions.
Got to get that Game Boy magnifying glass, man.
So I feel like Gnome is the best and maybe the only one that where I put in a live USB, it's like, hey, guess what? He's got 8 billion, 1,000 trillion pixels. I'm not going to make everything a centimeter tall. I'm going to actually make it to where this guy can see it because I like this guy and I want him to continue installing my distro. Me and Gnome have a good relationship. We talk often.
Yeah, there's way more money behind Gnome. I mean, look at all the desktop environments and the companies behind it. So that the people that are working on Gnome can afford those 4K monitors.
It makes sense.
Man.
That again, yes, fractional scaling is cool. You can get in there, whatever. But man, I don't have a magnifying glass when I go to install it. So I would love to get a little better support out of a live USB installation wise. Have you tried to install something? I got to turn my monitor into a 1080p. And I know you guys are saying at home, like, this guy, like, complaining that he's got to right click and go 1080p. I don't know how many distros do we install a year? And I like to run them on my laptop so I can carry them with me.
Yeah.
So I see it so much more. Like, I just see it a lot. And it would just be really nice if out of the box it would recognize, and I don't know if that's a hardware issue, software issue, what the issue is, but if it would recognize, ooh, here's my display, let me go to an appropriate, default, and that way he can install his stuff without having to. My wife looks at me sometimes. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to see the tick box so I can change the resolution on the screen, and I can't find it because XFCE. Never mind. So
they fixed that.
Yeah, they did fix it. But it's been a struggle that I've not been quiet about it for many years. Yeah. And I would love, please, all of you out there, if you work for the desktop teams, please, 4K, please, live USB. That's one of my hopes and dreams this year.
I hope you get it.
All right, my second wish, and this sounds weird, okay? I really want Intel to come out with their discrete graphics that they're talking about for their laptops.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that happen because when you go install a Linux distribution on a laptop, you want something that's supported. Like, you get those fancy new NVIDIA things and it needs proprietary drivers and you get black screen on reboots. Nobody wants that nonsense. And you don't necessarily need all that horsepower for a laptop. I mean, most people don't game on their laptops. Some
Bite
people
your
do.
tongue, Dan. How dare you?
Some people do. Some people do. But, like, you think about it, if you're doing heavy graphics horsepower, you're probably going to have a dedicated card in your desktop, right? I mean, that's the way you're going to go.
I play a lot of games on my XPS. I'm just saying.
Here's my bonus reasoning is that Intel coming out with this will help push AMD a little harder, because otherwise they'll end up getting complacent and
they always do.
Not rolling out the big, new stuff. And they've been really good lately about doing that, I think. So
as long as you can buy it.
I think some competition going on between all these vendors is really good. So ultimately what I'm hoping for is better discrete graphics and the little competition going on there in the laptop space.
Yep. You know what, Dan, the other bonus to that, which I fully hope that happens, is Intel makes their own Linux distribution. So
they do.
Which doesn't get enough play, in my opinion. I think we need to talk about it more. But yes, I think that would even play into it more, because even with AMD, like I have the 4000 series chip, but I can't run barely any Linux on it because it's too new. So I've got to run a kernel that's like 5.9 or better, as I have found out recently with Budgie, that doesn't have a more recent kernel. So yes, man, Dan, that's an awesome wish. I hope all your dreams come true.
Yeah.
So my second and final one is Firefox again.
Uh-oh.
I need Firefox to become a major player again. That's what I need. I need that to happen because nature abhors a monoculture. Chromium is that. I mean, what is Firefox now? It's like 3-point-something% of the entire market. A big chunk of that is what is Safari, whatever Safari is, and then everything else is just Chromium. And I mean, we see it time and time again. You find a bug in Chromium, and it's not just in Chromium. It flows down to Chrome, and then it flows down to Brave, and it flows down to Vivaldi, and it flows down to Edge, and it flows down, and it flows down, and everybody else that's based off Chromium gets that bug too. And if you're using one of the second, third, fourth tier Chromium variants, then you got to wait for that group to update the underlying Chromium to fix that bug. And depending on how fast that goes, you may be more vulnerable than you need to be.
The only devil's advocate to that is that having more companies, big companies like Microsoft and Google, work on those projects together might help. If there is one of those bugs, it might help move that along a little better. But I tend to agree. I think healthy competition is a good thing, and it'd be nice to see Firefox come back alive, and a player in the market.
For sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice to actually see some competition.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe Photon's going to do it for us. Maybe that's the thing.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Photon, Proton. I'm in.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right. My second and final hope and dream for this year is some form of SATA or M.2 slot for the Raspberry Pis. So that is the one. Like,
that's a good one.
That's the I think that's like the little anchor that weighs them down is that running off of an SD card. Like it's not great. The USB solution is okay, but I would love to see a SATA or an M.2 variant, some type of either hat that does it or just a new Pi model, that has it, would be awesome. That would really make my life wonderful this year.
With your wish and my wish combined,
we form.
Like Super Pi, whatever
Super
it is.
Pi. Yes.
I don't know, Joe. You might have the one wish that is almost guaranteed to come true.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I feel like that's got a strong contender.
I was hoping for it last year, so I'm putting it out there this year. So I'm hoping that if I say it, and then I'm sure there's other people that have said it, that if we say it enough, it'll happen.
It might not be as good as what you're hoping for, so you might have to settle for like EMMC or something like that, which is still a little better than where we're at. So let's hope.
Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, let's hope. Housekeeping. It's keeping of the house. Who's keeping it? I'm keeping it.
Me. Let me keep your house.
You get the dog. I'm keeping the house. Get out. Dan, get out of my house. We're through.
I don't want the dog.
Oh, don't let the dog hear you say that.
You keep the Firefox. I keep the computer.
He was just here a minute ago.
Oh.
The podcast community has some fantastic members, and we want to make sure to highlight that. This podcast is not exclusively for Linux. In fact, other platforms might be highlighted more than Linux in this podcast. Our podcast showcase has the Sans Internet Stormcast. So in under 10 minutes, every day, you can catch up on the latest vulnerabilities and exploits. Now, I know Leo listens, so what do you think?
I love it. This is right when you wake up and you're trying to consume the things that you need to know for the day. This is the order in which I do it. I wake up, I start brewing some coffee, I put my tinfoil hat on, and I listen to this show.
That's
tinfoil hat required
right.
at the door, right? They're checking for them at the door.
And the moment this show is over, coffee's ready.
Wow, that's nice.
It's fantastic. Whatever came out vulnerability wise, Sans is one of the groups that keeps on top of that. And this is just Sans telling you, hey, there's some updates coming your way because this is broken and this is broken and this is broken. You should probably pay attention to this if this affects you. So it gives you some lead time on a lot of that kind of stuff. If you're an IT admin of any kind and you're tasked with security in any way, you should listen to this podcast.
I think he delivers it in a way that's explanatory, even for the average people. Probably people in our community anyway. They're a little more tech savvy and more into technology and what's going on. So I think the way it's delivered is not over the top technical, which is easy to do on a lot of these vulnerabilities. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of letting you know where you need to put your guard up.
Yeah, and I've really appreciated that he's been tracking the SolarWinds thing very closely.
That's been a good one. Yeah.
Every little bit of information makes it to the show, and I love it.
So, Joe, you're gonna listen to this?
I'll add it to the list. You guys are killing me. Do you know how many unlistened? If you look at my,
it's 4 minutes a day.
That's
4
perfect.
minutes out of your day.
Look at my to-do podcast
that's more
list.
than I have.
Look at this. Look at this.
That's a lot.
Look at this. Still scrolling.
He's been scrolling this entire time, folks.
Still
that
scrolling,
are just
guys.
He's still scrolling.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I have a hard time getting them all in. But I will.
This is a short one, so
yeah.
Hopefully that works.
I'm telling you, tinfoil hat, coffee, that show, easy.
Gotcha.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. 4 minutes. Is it every day?
Just about.
Less than 10.
Good grief! I don't know. That might just be too scary.
Some of them are.
Maybe I don't want to see. Can I? You wear the tinfoil hat. I'll wear the blinders. How about that? And then that way.
All right. Feel free to send your emails to contact@linuxuserspace.show, and we can have a discussion on the show about them. We appreciate all of our sponsors on Patreon, and if you would like to join them in supporting the show, head on over to patreon.com/linuxuserspace. Please follow us on Twitter @linuxuserspace to get all the latest announcements for this show and highlights for things that impact your user space. Possibly a little cheeky banter, too.
Always.
We also have our growing Telegram group. Please join us over at linuxuserspace.show/telegram to continue the conversation. Lastly, don't forget to rate this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast application, and like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. You can always get more information at our website, linuxuserspace.show.
Where my Twitter feed handle is correct now, thanks to one wonderful listener.
Whoops. Wonder how long that was wrong.
Months. It's
just
fine.
Since we started.
Nobody was hunting me anyways, but still.
It's fixed.
Definitely not if you got the wrong one.
Well, I think they found me, but just had to search. Thank you, kind listener.
This is Focus App, where we app on the focus.
Yeah, buddy.
You got through it.
And the app we're going to focus on is Gnome Boxes. It's really not just one app, right? I mean, Gnome Boxes is a front end for KVM. That's what this thing is all about.
That's the underpinnings.
Yep. So Gnome Boxes is an easy-to-use face on top of KVM, which is the kernel virtual manager. Essentially, the built-in Linux native hypervisor. In other words, it runs VMs with all the strength of KVM, but it's an even simpler way than something like VirtualBox or VMware Player or Workstation. You want to try Endeavor OS, you want to try and cobble together Arch, you want to do or check out the latest beta of this or that. This is super easy. This is one of the biggest reasons that you should give it a shot. I know most folks can just, sudo apt install VirtualBox or DNF install VirtualBox or whatever, but you really should give Gnome Boxes a try. If you have simpler needs and want to kind of get away from the proprietary VMware or away from Oracle, we were talking about them earlier, right? Or,
but it's unbreakable.
Well, maybe. And even if you just want to give KVM a try, like you're thinking about running full-blown KVM with Virtual Machine Manager and, all the nuts and bolts, bridge this and that and all that. This is an easy way to see if the performance of KVM is really what you want. Gnome Boxes is going to give that to you. So if you want to get your hands on this and you've got Flatpak already installed with FlatHub, then it's easy. Flatpak install org.gnome.boxes, I think, is actually the command for it. But just search up boxes and you'll get the name of the package. Install that, you're done. That's it. Fire it up and start clicking the plus button to add yourself some VMs.
Yeah, it sure does mash the easy button on installing a virtual machine. And there's a couple of them like that it throws in your face a little bit. So they're even easier. So you just a couple of clicks away and there you go. You're running your first virtual machine.
Yeah. It's like, here's Red Hat. Here's Fedora. Yeah. And there's an Ubuntu down there too.
Yeah. But you know what else it did? And it didn't used to do this. It, when I launched it, it found all the ISOs that were sitting on my downloads folder, like or on a USB drive. Like it was like, hey, these are all here. You want to install one of them? So that was kind of cool.
It's got some nifty features. It'll even download ISOs for you. If it's on the list of known distributions, you click on it, it'll download the ISO, add it to the VM, and set you on your way. So you don't even have to fiddle with the add it.
And I think it will even do like the one-click Windows install.
Ooh.
Yeah, I believe if you plug in your stuff like ahead of time, it just goes through the whole thing for you. Wow. So it's pretty cool. They released that, was it last year? It's pretty great. I pretty much only use boxes these days. I've stopped using the others.
Yeah, VirtualBox was always my go-to. But the simplicity. There's no DKMS for this. You don't gotta compile this or that to make it all work. If you want the latest versions of VirtualBox, you kind of have to do that. But no, it's just Flatpak, Gnome Boxes. Yeah. It handles itself.
Want to check out XFCE 4.16? I installed it while we were firing up the show. Like, I just installed it, click, boom, 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 done.
Yep.
Couple of minutes.
Easy.
Yep.
So definitely worth taking a look at Gnome Boxes, especially if you're a VirtualBox user. It'll handle you. Next time, we'll be talking about the distro of the month for January. We've already spent a couple of weeks with it. Well, almost. And that'll be Solus, if Joe can figure out how to put it on his XPS.
Well, if you can get it installed, you'll be all set.
Just throw it extra hard.
I've thrown it. I'm going to tell you right now, that USB drive's seen better days.
Ooh. So it focuses on Budgie. We're going to focus on Budgie. I think we're all going to take that route this go around, even though there are a couple of other desktop environments that you can get in Solus. We're going to focus on Budgie because they make Budgie. Thanks, everyone, for listening and for all of the support that you've shown us so far. New listener, thank you for finding us. Old listener, thanks for sticking with us this long. Please follow along as we continue to test Solus and have a good time doing it. Join us in the Telegram group so you can tell us just how awesome a time you're having. Where can we find you, fine folks?
You can find me at KC2BEZ.
You can find me at JoJo_Fett.
And you can find me at Leo Chavez on Twitter. Join us in 2 weeks when we return to the Linux user space. You get a flashlight, too.
I know. Actually, that was very helpful. You get your hand down in there, you can't see. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I used it. It was good.
All about the bass. So in it, does it like float above does it? Yeah. Wow. That is some bass. That's like a badunkadunk. Yeah. Just wow. It's crazy light. It's a nice LED. You've got a vibrating screw called the Wow Stick that you use on the screw pad with lots of tips. I'm offended. I'm thoroughly offended, Dan. This is...